Now, when you say spirituality, you're talking about something that you're unable to perceive through the five senses. You're talking about a dimension which is beyond the physical. And the five senses, the very way they are made, they can perceive only that which is physical. Anything that is not physical, you cannot see it, you cannot smell it, you cannot taste it, you cannot hear it, nor can you touch it. So if your perception is limited to five senses, naturally, the play of your life and the scope of your life will be only physical. But I talk to God every day, that is also physical. Because God is just an idea for most people, it's not a living reality. No, I feel it in my heart. What you feel in your heart is your emotion, which is also made up by you. The psychological and the emotional states, whatever you go through, can be made up by you right now, isn't it so? Right now you can close your eyes and generate deep sense of love towards somebody. Right now you can close your eyes or maybe open your eyes and look at somebody here and generate a deep sense of hatred towards somebody. You can create whatever you want in your mind, and the way you think is the way you feel. So what is happening in the psychological sphere of your life has nothing to do with the spiritual. Today, unfortunately, the psychological solace is being interpreted as spiritual. To be psychologically in a pleasant state is one of the side effects of spirituality, but it is not spirituality. If you are in a certain inner state, to have a pleasant state of mind is very natural, but to have a pleasant state of mind is not spiritual. If you go and watch the sunset in the evening, maybe you'll feel wonderful within yourself. If you eat an ice cream, you may feel wonderful. It doesn't matter, you go and watch a cinema, you may feel wonderful. Is this spiritual? No. You are just creating a pleasant psychological state. Psychological status, whether it is coming out in the form of thought or emotion, is fundamentally all yours. You can make anything out of it. What you call as the physical is not all yours. There are many forces playing upon it. What you call as the spiritual is not at all yours. It is you, but it is not yours. But what you call as the psychological is all yours, you can make it whichever way you want. But right now, because people have no even control over their psychological, that has become the biggest problem. When you say spirituality, immediately people will add a rejoinder, peace of mind. Peace of mind is not spirituality. Please just… if you have a pet at home, let's say if you have a dog at home, just go home and see, he sits there quite peacefully. Doesn't he? Do you see the bulls that are standing in Delhi streets? They're standing quite peacefully, aren't they? Stomach is full, they're all peaceful. This is not spirituality. This is just psychological pleasantness which everybody has to have, must have, for which there are ways to have. But when you talk about spirituality as a science, you're not talking about just psychological pleasantness. So what is a spiritual process? To give it a very technical kind of definition, if your experience of life transcends the limitations of the physical, then we can say you're spiritual. Psychological is still physical. When I say still physical, see, for example, the microphone is physical. The electricity that is powering this is also physical, maybe not so, so physical in terms of being able to see, but it is also… what is flowing through this wire is also physical, isn't it? And what is coming out of the speakers in the form of sound waves is also physical, isn't it so? Yes? Isn't it coming and hammering on your eardrums? So, what you call as thought is physical, what you call as emotion is physical. So the psychological is also belongs to the physical realm, but on a subtler space. So what we are looking at as spiritual is a dimension which is beyond the physical, which is the source of the physical. Now, the whole idea of creator has entered human mind only because of our contact with the creation. There was no creation, we wouldn't have thought of a creator, obviously. What is the most intimate part of creation that we know in our life is always this one. See, anything that you experience through the five senses is not happening outside, it's always happening inside because the seat of your experience is within you, not outside of you. Right now you're looking at me, it makes you believe that I am here, but that's not true. Right now, as far as your experience is concerned, these lights are falling upon my body, reflecting, going into your lenses here and projecting an inverted image, you know all the story. So actually you're seeing me not here, but in your mind. You're hearing me also in your mind, not here, isn't it? Not where I speak, but where you perceive it within you. Every experience is within you because the seat of your experience is within you. So this level of perception is sufficient for survival. If survival is all we are seeking, this level of perception is sufficient. If you have started seeking the creator, then this level of perception is not enough. If you want to play in the creation, five senses are more than enough, you can live well. But now your life is not about living well, you want to know the very source of life. Now five senses are not sufficient perception, you need a different dimension of perception. Now this is the most intimate part of creation for you, because this is all you experience. Everything that you experience is only within this. If we have to look at it in terms of how this one has been happening to you, from the day you were born to this day, when you were born you were only this much, now you become this much. This did not happen with any external help. Maybe we gave the raw material from outside in the form of food, but the whole creation process is happening from inside. So what you refer to as the creator, definitely functioning from within you, isn't it? You see? There's a gender problem, but this is a language problem, I'm sorry. If I say, is the creator within you, is he there? There's a problem with the ladies. Is she there? Then there's problem. Is it there? That is also a problem. This is because the language is logical and language exists only between the two dualities. Now with this, you can't play spirituality because that which you call as spiritual is beyond that comparison. Because your sense organs always perceive everything in comparison, everything is dual. And without this duality, there is no survival. Survival is possible only if you learn to do and juggle the duality well. Only if you learn to do the right kind of circus with the duality, you survive well. If you do not know this circus, you cannot survive in this planet. But when you talk about that which is the source of creation, you're not talking about two, you're talking about one. So the gender becomes irrelevant, all your understanding of… logical understanding of life becomes irrelevant, and your perception through the senses becomes irrelevant. Now, if this is the way, then we should not try to think what it is, because if you try to think what it is, whatever we think only comes from what we already know. All our thought is functioning from the data that has already been fed into it. One cannot perceive the nature of the creator by thinking about it. If you think about it, you will hallucinate after some time. It can create psychological well-being. For most people, largely, God has been taught to them. depending upon what kind of community, what kind of society, which part of the world, accordingly different types of gods have been taught to them. They believe it. So because they believe it, they think about it naturally, and it can become a very strong thought process which gives them certain sense of stability, comfort, confidence above all.